Hello, welcome back to another SwansCast match preview, where this week I am joined by the lovely gentleman from the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes Watford FC podcast. So welcome Pete, Justin and Carl.
Hello.
Thank you. Nice to be
Hello.
here.
So I know we've just recorded your version of, I guess, this content and had a really good time. So it was a really good chat. So if one of you would like to let our fans know where they can find that video or your content in general.
Anywhere really that you can get your podcast. That probably won't be a video, but it will be a podcast available everywhere, Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere really. So yes, that's where you can find that.
Brilliant. So go check that out. Go give them a listen. And I mean, I enjoyed myself just sitting and listening to the others talk, to be honest. And there's a couple of quirky videos in there that take you a little bit down memory lane if you're a Swansea fan as well. So I mean, you might not see the videos as you mentioned, but I'm sure you'll hear the description, and it was equally good. Going ahead to this game then, we're recording it before Swansea play Leicester, and I think that's important to say because the form might be different by the time we actually meet Watford, and obviously back-to-back home games for us, but this one will be midweek on the 24th of October as the weather is turning. I mean, our season is slightly just turned already, but we'll get to talk about a little bit about where Watford are this year. So I'd like to start with, I'll take you back to the summer, maybe. And I just want to know, generally, aside from player transfers now, has there been any big change at your club or any changes maybe that happened over the summer that are quite important or significant going into this season? I don't know who wants to lead with this one. I know there's a couple of you, but you're worth chipping in whatever you want to, really.
Carlos.
Go, Pete. You start with me. Am I
Go on.
going any further? Well, yes. As per usual, we've got a manager. He's still here as we currently record this. We've got through an international break without sacking him, so that's an achievement. But yeah, it's the same old madhouse that Watford FC has been for the last few years under our current owners, that every day is different. We've made a podcast out of it. We're very busy with it because it changes so much. You know, my wife's threatened to divorce me many times over recording podcasts, but it's something that we love and enjoy, and our football club is bonkers. So it really does suit our needs in terms of a podcast.
So other than, well, you've still got the manager, there's nothing at club level, board level or anything?
Well,
that's
it's odd that you should say that because yes,
It's funny.
We're very pleased that we've managed to keep hold of a manager. In fact, the club extended his contract on the basis of us being one above the drop. Other more successful managers have been sacked, but this is just part of their game to divide and conquer. So instead, what they did was they have fired, let go, what have you. I think he was down as the technical director, a gentleman called Ben Manga, that Justin really liked when he got to talk to him, didn't you, Justin?
I did. What a lovely man. He was genuinely a lovely man. He was.
And when Justin says that about somebody, we immediately fire them. It's the safest thing you can do. Justin is clearly no judge of character. But he basically come in a couple of windows ago, hadn't done very much. We have let go of about 22 players. In fairness, we've had to rationalise the playing budget. It's all good, prudent stuff. Unfortunately, on the field, it ain't so great because we've only brought in about 6 or 7. And the squad that we've got is pretty thin. It only takes one injury in one position for you to be looking very warily at it. And of course, as we're now going into these kind of rounds of game and then a midweek game and then a game on the weekend again, people like Ryan Andrews, who's basically he's one of our own as a right back, got sent off at a horrible place, disgusting place. You'd hate to know where it was. It was Cardiff. I do apologise. He got sent off, and now we're kind of looking at his compadre in that position, Jeremy Ngakia, and of course you're treading on eggshells there straight away. We've got Valerian Ismail, who is giving us a better style of play. We are a little bit more on the front foot. We're a little bit more attacking. We do sort of press, but that kind of went by the by for a little bit. But we feel like we might be trying to get something back. The last performance was better, but prior to that, we'd had 3 straight defeats. And of course, it is a results-oriented game. So the really the fan base is pretty split between those people who are saying, well, I told you, the squad, one, wasn't good enough, and secondly, the club haven't invested enough, having sold £50 million worth of talent. We've invested just shy of 2 million, if that, and it's coming home to roost.
Where are you with the parachute payments now? Are you still getting a little bit?
We mortgaged them long ago. They've gone.
They've gone. They went
okay.
last season. Yeah, they're gone.
Okay.
Yeah, we borrowed against it. They call it factoring, where you kind of take the money a little bit less early, and then when that comes in, it goes off. So no, we are. Is
that an issue then? If you don't get promotion in a couple of years, is that a big issue?
It's an issue now.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's. I mean, in terms of Peter touched on there. In terms of recruitment, the championship's been a funny one this year.
Yeah,
not many teams have spent big money. Barring Leicester, Leeds, maybe, but in terms of what Southampton as well, of course, yeah, which we know you love to talk about. Exactly, yeah. The recruitment has been free transfers, a £50,000 fee for Paul Ince. Yeah, Tom Ince for Paul Ince's son, who Peter loves. So yeah, in general, it's been a really sort of low bar transfer window.
Yeah.
We were expecting, for those of Swansea fans that don't know, our connection with Udinese in Italy, our owners, we were expecting an influx of loanees to come in and sort of back up the first team, but that hasn't happened. Rumour has it might not happen in January as well, and the way the finances are at the moment, who knows what's going to happen there. There's a lot of rumours. It's a big rumour mill around the club at the moment. Is the owner preparing to move the club on? There's lots happening really at Watford, and at the moment, for us guys of a certain age, I'm the youngest one of them. I know you don't believe that, but it's true. We've been here before. I had to. Yeah, sorry. We've been here before. We've been in the 90s as a Watford fan was awful. It's only really since the Pozzos and the second sort of return of GT Graham Taylor that I remember where we really had success. So we're not averse to this. It's just, I think, where the fan base is currently, we've got a big influx of a certain age that know no different Premier League football for 5-6 years. Players that we would only dream of now, playing in a Watford shirt, and that's gone very quickly. So it's similar to Swansea, I guess. I was going to say
we can relate with some of that sort of those comments.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very much now a Championship side who are rebuilding, and that nobody really knows how the landscape looks in the next couple of years.
Yeah, it has been it's been a tough few seasons. I mean, Carl is right. He's the youngest one here. He's actually only 18, and this is what a Pozzo ownership will do to you. It's tough.
That's brilliant.
It is tough.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, there's definitely some parallels there, I think, with some fans from our younger side as well that might get frustrated sometimes that we've been out of the Premier League now for quite some time and we didn't bounce back straight away. And you see like our early season form and we're struggling and it's like, this is the worst thing ever. But actually, not so long ago, we were on the brink of falling out of the Football League and the club got sold for £1 and there's a lot of other stuff that happened, even before my time. Football is it's been going for a long time and it's not just that small period of success that defines your club, I guess. You spoke about some of your players and your manager. So you said he's got a new contract, but do you think Ishmael is under pressure? And if so, I see you signed, and you mentioned you signed Tom Ince. And I guess we all know where that usually goes.
Thank you for not laughing openly as you throw that one in.
I'm just wondering, do you think that is a logistical thing that's going to happen? Because it does quite often.
If Paul Ince is second manager,
usually it's the other way around, isn't it? Where Paul's there first.
Come to this club, there would be a brilliant podcast just with Peter.
Yeah,
because we exactly. We explained to you that we have something called the Paul Ince scale, which is essentially managers that we're not particularly fond of, and we invented the Paul Ince scale based on Paul Ince because Peter has such a love for the man.
Anybody who writes governor on his own boots, I mean, I mean, you're
Don't get
compensating
me
for something, aren't you? You're a multi-million-pound international footballer who's played in Italy. Why are you writing governor on your boots? Come on.
And you just inducted a new manager into that list as well, didn't you? In the reverse of this podcast.
We did, based
We
on
did.
your
Yeah.
recommendations. Yes.
Based on
Yeah.
the fact that Russell Martin would indeed eat himself, we think, yes, we've added
Yeah.
him in. Why not?
If he was made of chocolate, and I'm wondering if any of the other Swansea fans would agree with that, would Russell Martin eat himself if he was made of chocolate? I said yes, he probably would. So maybe let me know if you think I'm wrong in the comments. But he's on the list now. So
like you, we talk to other Championship podcasts, and two other podcasts who've had nothing to do with Southampton and nothing to do with Swansea have both commented that Russell Martin comes over at the end of games and applauds Southampton fans, regardless of everything else, making it all about him. And that's nothing to do with Southampton. So we've taken umbrage with that. We're not in favour of any of that nonsense.
I did say he had a good way of making a connection with the fans, and he's quite clever in manipulating the situation, I think, which probably goes in tune with what you just said. I'll probably get stick from some quarters for saying that, but it is the reality. But there we go. Let's move on from him. Well, I want to talk about some of your other players and other transfers. I saw you've got Jamal Lewis as well. We were linked with him. So has he brought anything to the table, or just kind of fill in a position?
But he's brought anxiety into my life.
Anxiety,
Make me feel better about missing out on him. We were quite disappointed.
Yeah, we were really.
Have him if you want. Really?
Yeah, no. Well, we signed him, and then he just was injured straight off. So I think there's a little bit of is he carrying something? Is he not fully fit? I don't know. But I saw him at Cardiff. I was at Cardiff recently, and he was dreadful. He was awful. I don't really know if he fits into the manager's style of play, if he really knows what is expected of him. But for a player that's come from Newcastle. And he very much comes down with a shoulder pack saying that I really want to push for a place in that side. I just can't see that in a million years that he's going to get back into that Newcastle side.
Again, because we've got we've got two players for each position. I mean, we're not on the breadline here, but the players that we've got as backup shouldn't be anywhere close to him. And we've got a young lad who's about 21, James Morris. He came in about 3 years ago, released by Southampton's academy. And if you listen to some people, they'll tell you he's the worst player in the world. If you listen to other people, you turn around and say he's a very economical, tidy young player. Is he perfect? No. Is he, kind of going to be marauding down the left-hand side? Is he the kind of reincarnation of Gareth Bale? No. But will he do as a contingency? The answer is absolutely yes. We said that until we'd seen Jamal Lewis play for about 4 or 5 games, and it kind of started off well, and it's just gone off down the hill. You just wonder whether or not, these players who go to Premiership clubs, obviously they kick on a fantastic wage, but if you're going to play 10 games in the course of 2 years, suddenly you're no longer conditioned to, kind of game week in, week out. Suddenly you pick up these little niggles, you pick up these little knocks because you're just used to going through the motions training, and he doesn't really look like he's there for the kind of for the real kind of crucible of actual competitive Championship football.
Yeah. Okay. What notable transfers other than maybe Jamal Lewis then in and out? Is there any big gaps been left by people who have left, and then have you got any that have come in and they have actually come on and made you a better team? One player is fine for each. If you're
going to struggle with that, mate. Oh, I've got to find a player that's come in and improve the team. Let me think.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Just talk amongst yourselves while you think about this.
If the answer to the question is no one, that's fine. But I'm just curious about how the squad might look different from the last time. The fans.
It's going to look different because there's no Sarr, there's no Pedro, so that's going to be different from last time. I don't know. I mean, the Rajovic looked okay first couple of games, started scoring some goals, done nothing since. Martins, I think, is a player that's probably made a difference.
That's the player I was.
Martin stands out to me only for one reason, and that's because I think on Football Manager 2021 I signed him and he actually came quite good.
He also looks like Pat, if you're a fan of EastEnders, he's also a very good replica of Pat Butcher.
Well, that it's the
with his
blonde hair and the earrings.
and the earrings. I'm sure Pat Butcher is a good footballer, but in terms of lookalikes, he does a very good. But no, he's probably been the standout player for us. Because we had him at the end of last season, and I don't think there was many Watford supporters that really wanted to keep hold of him based on what we saw. He just didn't look up for it, didn't look the part. But he's really stepped on this season. He's probably one. Rajovic that Justin mentioned scored a few goals. Big physical specimen, by rights cause problems in the Championship if he could get service, and that's a big issue for us because we can't get him service. And I think if that was to improve, he would probably get a few more goals. But other than that, it's been a really, really disappointing transfer window for Watford.
The other player who probably needs a mention, and the other two can suck air through their teeth while I say this.
Oh, here we go.
Is Vacuum Bio up front, because
oh fucking hell,
he is the proverbial Bambi on ice, right? But he works extremely hard up front. He's scored more goals than Bio, although Bio has played less games than him. But he's also done so much more off the ball, and he's actually won his position back. He missed an absolute sitter against Middlesbrough, but that's okay because he's been working on his game so that he could miss another absolute sitter against Cardiff.
Yeah.
But then he got another absolute sitter and finally managed to get the ball over the line. But he works very hard. We play with these two inverted wingers, so we're not providing kind of balls into the box that a centre forward would thrive off particularly. Yeah. We play two number 8s behind them, also inverted. So there is absolutely nobody there to lay the ball back to and then wing in the cross, unless you've got your fullbacks, up and forward. And when they've done that, we've scored. We've done well from crosses into the box as a percentage. We just don't do it enough. We're constantly trying to play these little ticky-taka on the edge of the box. And quelle surprise, opposition teams, when you've got the ball and you're cutting inside, are all retreating. They're all packing out the space. You're kind of completely restricting your own width. And we crush ourselves, on the weight of bodies, and then people can basically hit us on the break. So it's been the difference this season. The thing that has improved the team, in fairness, and a lot of people are now kind of split because of where we are in the league, has been the football has looked better to watch. Over the last few years, we've had an abundance of Richards. Richards? Of Rishes.
Richards.
Loads of Richards, or everywhere. Shut up, Brendan.
Lots of dicks, I think you're trying to say.
We've had people like Sarr, we've had people like Pedro, but we've had no team pattern. We've had no coherent plan other than give it to João Pedro, he'll run and try and beat everybody. It's literally been like watching a park team, and it's been ridiculous. This has at least had some level of teamwork into play, shutting people down, and we will hope that when we play you, that Jake Livermore continues what he did against that lot down the M4 from you, because he came in and did quite well there, because previously we've had a lad called Sierra Alta, who's a Chilean centre-back by right, and because of the injuries in the squad, he's had to move back to centre-back. So hopefully Livermore will do okay, because that was the first game that he's actually stepped up, and one, played 90 minutes, and secondly, played anywhere near the player that we know that he can be. But of course, he's also knocking on a little bit. So kind of speaks to where we are. Did we mention Paul Ince is a tosser? No, we probably did. Oh, shut up.
Do you know what? You basically answered my next question, which was going to be what sort of style to expect to see from Watford going into this game. So fair play there. But I'll focus on one thing that you said, and that was about Livermore, saying that he stepped up against Cardiff in the last game. Now, up against the midfield of Matt Grimes and Charlie Patino, do you think, from my perspective, I think it's fair to say I think Matt Grimes is one of the better midfielders in the league, and he's consistently shown that over a few years. So what sort of challenge to expect there, and how do you think Watford will play around that, I guess?
Nervously.
Nervously. Yeah, I think with Swansea, and you've just touched on it, I think Grimes is one of the best midfielders in the Championship. I think he's proven that over a few seasons now. When we played you, was it at home?
Yeah, the 2-1.
They bossed us. Just incredible he was. So he's definitely one. But again, I guess if we had something about us to close that midfield down, I don't think we will stop you playing. But I think that's the way to stop Swansea. Shut that midfield off, and you've got a decent chance there. But Watford travelling away midweek to Swansea doesn't fill me with a lot of joy. I've got to be completely honest there. So, Swansea fans, don't worry too much. I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think you're right in saying if you can stop Mac Rhymes, you kind of stop Swansea. There seems to be a direct correlation of when he doesn't play very well. If he has a poor time, Swansea are poor, and vice versa on the flip side. It's no coincidence to see that he struggled to adapt to Michael Duff's style of play early in the season. I think his natural instinct, and I mentioned it in your video a little bit. I said the players that were here last season versus the players that are here this season weren't quite on the same wavelength early in the season, I believe anyway. And Mac Rhymes, one of the ones here before, his instinct was to go back to what Russell Martin wanted, protect the ball a bit slower than what Duff was asking for, where the new players perhaps were a little bit more in a positional sense of the new style, and it was causing issues. I think we're a little bit more in tune as a team now. You've seen a bit more of Mac Rhymes still controlling the game as he would, but maybe picking out a pass that he wouldn't have picked out last year. If you look at Ollie Cooper's goal against Plymouth in our last game, I don't think he plays that ball forward to Ollie Cooper last season. Ultimately, Cooper scores a bit of an individual goal when he turns and runs at the defence and scores from outside the box. But I think last season Grimes sees that as a bit of a non-opportunity and doesn't play the ball for the player to then go and create himself a chance, if that makes sense. So you've seen a bit of a different Mac Grimes, but as positive as ever in terms of how Swansea play. Going forward then, what sort of formation are Watford playing? You mentioned about maybe you need to be doing a bit more crossing and using your wing backs, but not necessarily so much. And you did touch on the eights and stuff.
Well,
I'm just curious, has it been consistent or are you changing? Or
No, we've changed only a couple of times at the end of one game and at the beginning of the next, and it reverted back to what we will play almost undoubtedly, which is a 4-3-3. We'll be playing almost undoubtedly with Hoot as the left-sided centre-back, as he's the only left-sided centre-back we have at the club. And
he can score a good goal.
He can. I would presume that Ryan Porteous might be coming back in as Scotland have now qualified for the World Cup, so he'll be wanting to get back in there. The right back and left back it'll be Jeremy and Ngakia, because Ryan Andrews is still suspended following sending off against Cardiff, and I imagine they'll probably go with Jamal Lewis because I think Morris is still kind of a little bit injury prone. I think he'd probably make the bench, but I don't think with a 2-week break that Lewis will be dropped. I think if it had been straight after, I think you'd have put Morris in. We then play with one holding midfield player, which will either be, as I mentioned, Francisco Sierralta, or more likely after the last game, Jake Livermore. The answer about what will happen with kind of Matt Grimes versus him or versus anybody, and he's Livermore's, with respect, he's too old now. He's not going to cover the ground like he used to be able to. So he's basically got to sit there and screen the two centre-backs. You've then got two number 8 sitting in front of him either side. Now, the idea from Ishmael is that one of them is a box-to-box player, which typically is Tom Dele-Bashiru, who was formerly at Man City but was never going to break through, came to us, has had a couple of anterior cruciate ligament injuries, which has kind of reduced him fairly considerably in terms of his game time over the last 3 years. But he can be a good player, but he can also go completely missing, as can his replacement, Ishmael Kone, who's a Canadian international, but has only actually been playing for literally just over about a year and a half now. So, you don't. The knowledge there is, if you can play a bit, go to Canada, you get an international game. The other side of the number 8s, and again, they play inverted, is a guy called Imran Louza, who was at Nantes. He's a Moroccan international. He's left-sided, and he plays more as a number 10 role, but a more disappointing player or performance for the season so far, I think you'd struggle to see, because he's got immense potential. He could absolutely boss a game, but he simply doesn't. He looks like he is feeling sorry for himself in the Championship, thinking he should be playing top flight somewhere. And I probably have a little bit of sympathy for him. He got injured last season, so he missed out on the World Cup with Morocco. So he's had a few things to feel sorry for himself about. Martins plays wide left, even though he's right-sided, and we will play either Tom Ince or Yasser Asprilla or Ken Sema, all three completely left-sided players, on the right, and therefore we will cut in, you will frustrate us, and unless we have one of the fullbacks bombing on the outside, which would be the suspended Ryan Andrews, you won't see Ngakia getting up that far, I wouldn't have thought. Then we won't be kind of providing much throw into the box. It's a frustration, because there's some good things. There is really some good things, but we have a tendency to play complete suicide ball out from the back. We're one of those who it's suddenly fashionable for the centre back to go and take a goal kick and give it to the goalkeeper who's in the middle of the goal, and you go, why? All you do is play it around until eventually one of you desperately knocks it long, and then we pretend we're playing out from the back. The fullbacks like to go and do Pep ball and push into the central midfield on occasions, because that's what Pep does. We can't play that football. We do not have the budget or the players to play that as successfully as we would like. And it's also not what Ishmael was used to playing. He was used to playing big, long, direct football, push on and go and win the second ball and then go and be high energy. And we've kind of fallen between two stools. We've fallen between what the manager would probably want to what he's having to play because of what he's got.
Yeah.
But apart from all that, it's great, Luke.
Yeah. I was going to pick up on the passing from the back. We had a lot of that last season, and we were reluctant to do the kick a long bit under Russell Martin, and it got us caught out quite a few times. I would say most of the goals conceded is when we lost the ball in those areas. And this season, we kind of, I said to you in the other video that Duff's style is a high press, high intensity, and that started showing in the last few games where we've had a turn of results. If you look at the Norwich game, especially the first 10, 20 minutes, we were very high intensity with the press. We won, I think our first goal was from that really early on. So for you to say that's the way you're playing out from the back, I think that would be something that Duff, especially at home, will be setting the players up to try and get on you as soon as possible.
We've got a goalkeeper that does a Strictly Come Dancing impression with a football at his feet as well. So he will love to be pressed by any Swansea player. Panic won't set in at all because he's a complete calm influence on us fans and anyone in a Watford shirt.
It's so assuring to see the ball come to him at his feet that you just go, it'll be fine. Nothing wrong's going to go. It's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
We'll see if any good comes from it from us then, but it looks like maybe there's definitely going to be an opportunity.
The difficulty of playing that kind of football when you don't have the players who go and play that is that those players end up living with that reputation because they're playing how they're being asked to play. They shouldn't be getting brickbats from everybody going, he's not doing that right, he's not doing that right. You just look at it and go, really? Are we going to cause this much? Are we going to get this much benefit by having an extra player, i.e. the goalkeeper, playing at the back and playing us out so that we can we can get the ball and maybe we can get up as far as the halfway line before we give it away, because we are a mid to lower championship team. We are not Real Madrid. We are not Man City. It's going to go away. You have to play at some stage the percentages. That's just practicality, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see. I didn't know all of this detail. This is why we're doing these videos, I guess. But I am surprised to see where you guys are sitting now, really, based on, I guess, the name of Watford in recent times. But I understand it now based on what you've been telling me. But I'm a bit shocked to see you down there. So I'm wondering how that does change for you going forward. So maybe by the time we speak later in the season, things will look a bit better. But I guess time will tell. Coming to the end now, but I just want to flip some of the stuff a little bit and just ask you from your perspective about Swansea. And I know we spoke about Matt Grimes, but what Swansea City players are a worry for you going into this game?
Yeah. Wow. Justin, why don't you...
If you can't name any.
Listen. I have hard enough time keeping up with Watford players. I think Peter's probably the man for this.
I know he's mentioned... I would still say that Grimes is a player. The young lad that's on loan from Arsenal, whose name escapes me, Patino. Yeah, I think he's a player of moments. So he's definitely someone to watch out for. But yeah, I can't see past Grimes. I know we've already covered this off.
That's fine. If he's the guy, then that's fine.
If we stop Grimes playing, we stop a lot of Swansea playing. For me, that's where I sit with it.
Yeah, with Swansea, it's a little bit like the guys on the Tuesday Club, the Arsenal podcast, used to do a thing where they say, what manager would we want to replace Arsene Wenger? And they called it the David Moyes game because that's who they wanted inevitably, right? When other teams look at Swansea, and I appreciate at times Matt Grimes has been griped about by some Swansea fans going, well, what does he do? Does he move the ball? We would absolutely have him like a shot, cover him completely. If you stop him, you stop a lot of the ball coming forward. You stop you picking up so much second ball and screening effectively, but still having the ability to move forward. As a defensive midfielder, that is priceless. The fact that he can actually, inside of 10 games, at least kind of adapt to what Duff is wanting and play slightly more penetrative passes because he has been conditioned to play Russell Martin keep ball, and again, he can do both of those, would be wonderful. The player that we like, because probably our worst game last season, other than at the Liberty, would have been away at Blackpool, and Jerry Yates.
Yates.
And he came off the bench that day, and it was like, what do you mean he's available? You mean we could go and get him? And so when you signed him, it was like another one of, oh God, because hardworking player, knows where the net is, and can kind of look to combine or play along either way potentially. I think he's very versatile. Now there is one player you signed, and I think you signed him from Troyes in France, but I couldn't begin to pronounce his name. I imagine he was probably Ukrainian. Was it? Do you know of whom I speak?
Is it Mikola Kurarovic?
That's the fella. There you go.
It's even in Welsh. That sounds good.
Well,
it took me a while to practice that. But if you watch the first few episodes we did after he was signed, I made a howler several times. I don't know if I'm saying it right now, but it sounds good. So,
we've got a player that we call Dave because nobody can say his name.
Nobody can say.
Well, that's a good idea. That's a good idea
for Tadze. I mean, I'll see your Mikhailo, and I'll raise you Dave because we're that lazy here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I like it. Maybe we'll start calling him Dave after this.
Dave. Yeah.
Yeah. We were calling him MK for a bit because of his initials, and that kind of worked well. But yeah, Dave sounds nice and easy. I think everyone getting on board with that.
I think this is the start of something. I think what we should do is get all championship teams. You go and speak to the podcast. We'll go and do it. You have to elect which person in your team is Dave, and that.
Well, we'll make it Welsh. We'll make it Welsh, and we'll call him Di.
Yeah.
There we are. Sorted. There we are. No more Kurarovic. It's going to be Di now. The big Ukrainian Di coming on the pitch. He probably will come on in the second half as well. So if he does, you can shout for Di. I forgot where we were actually talking. Mac Rhymes, wasn't it? Of course.
I like him a lot. But you've also got Jamal Lowe back on.
Yeah, Jamal Lowe's come back from Bournemouth now on loan. I think he's actually on a free transfer in the summer. So we're hoping that it's on loan now, but gets extended maybe for free. Bit surprised that they let us have him all year, considering he's expired in the summer. But yeah, no, he's scored a couple, I think, penalties mainly since he's come back, one from open play. But he's linking up well with Yates, so it's working. And he's gone to the wing now rather than up top, which is where he started in the system that wasn't working. But he's playing more as a winger. But, he cuts in, and kind of the front three behind Yates will rotate in and out. So you'll have Lowe, Patterson, and probably Liam Cullen. And they might switch around in those three positions. It might, you find Patterson will go out wide and Lowe will come in field and stuff like that. But yeah, with Grimes, you said about the criticism of some of the fans, that's kind of died down lately, which I'm glad to see, because I was quite vocal about that being just wrong on so many levels, kind of what you alluded to, really. And maybe he had 1 or 2 games out with injury, I think, last season, and you just notice straight away when he's not on the pitch, it's a different team, and no one can do what he does. And the day that he is gone, he will be very hard to replace. And there's a reason he's captain, been here so long. He's extended his contract again in the summer. So hopefully he's here now until maybe the later days of his career, because he will be pushing on by the time that expires. And I would love to see him get a Premier League game and, love it to be with us. But I think he's a player that definitely has deserved more in his career. And as for his adaptability, you mentioned, he did used to actually play attacking midfield. When we originally signed him, he was an central attacking midfield, and we kind of converted him into more of a holding midfielder. But I guess he's got those traits as well from his past. So yeah, was there anything else you wanted to add then? Because I think that sums it up. I've got one more thing to ask after that. I
was only going to mention the fact that obviously Jamal Lowe is well known in the Watford DVD of great defeats at the Liberty Stadium because of hitting that goal past Ben Foster, hitting his GoPro and then running into the goal map, if you remember, and wagging his finger. That was the start or fans falling out of love with Foster because he was focusing so much on, and I appreciate this is social media, but he was concentrating on that. But in fairness, none of us, I believe, are professional athletes. No, definitely not. So, no, don't fuck about with that. Get and concentrate on this. So all I'm saying is the fact that Wrexham technically came up was all Jamal Lowe's fault. Because, of course, he'd have still been with Watford. He wouldn't have been at Wrexham. He wouldn't have saved that. It would have happened.
Yeah, it's just a Welsh team helping out another Welsh team. That's all.
It's just charity, really, isn't it? That's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I remember that. There was obviously a big thing and a big thing made of it online. And I guess it was going to happen at some point, though, wasn't it? If you're going to make such a big... And it was growing, the whole goal camera thing was growing. I think it was only a matter of time before a player scored and got himself in the shot quite vocally.
Don't worry, he did much worse things than that. The Liverpool game at home springs to mind. There's so many other things he did that was, Foster, that just everyone just went, will you put it away now, please? I think even the CEO.
I remember there was something about it, wasn't it?
Yeah, just put it away.
I do apologise. Justin is head of grumpy for Do Not Scratch Your Eyes, and he was grumpier with him far earlier than myself or Carl. So heads up to you there, Justin.
I think it's it's one of them, isn't it? Where I think it's nice to see, but then when it's not going well, you also want to know your players are fully focused on the job at hand, and can you be convinced that is the case?
Of its time, it was lockdown, wasn't it? Really, so no one had any content whatsoever to consume. So if you've got one of your sort of top players showing around the dressing room and having a bit of banter, it's fine. But it for me, the joke or the idea wore thin very quickly, and then it became more of a hindrance, I think, than anything else.
Some things just need to stay behind closed doors, don't they?
The Liverpool one was a double whammy, wasn't it? Because he got a ticket for
Paddy the
Baddie, who was sat in the Watford end. Yeah, and then he was dribbling all over Mo Salah at the end of the game.
Then he got his shirt, didn't he? I think.
Yeah.
And then what a ledge salaries. Hang on, shouldn't have to stop the shots going. What are you talking about?
But in the long run, he's sorted his career out now. He's retired from football.
About time. Yeah, and I like the way that he went out. He basically went, "Fuck, this is harder than I remember," because he hadn't played for so long and got beat. Was it they lost 4-0 Wrexham, or he got?
He didn't last very long this season, did he? Because he went back up, didn't he? And then he's retired again.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, right? Ben Foster, I think, is probably one of our top goalkeepers ever. I mean, if you look at the sort of goalkeepers that we've had, he's up there. But the whole YouTube thing for me was a bit of a no-no, really.
Yeah.
That's his statue back in the bin then, is it?
Yeah, I imagine.
This is great content for your listeners, though, isn't it? We're talking about a Wrexham goalkeeper who once played for England. This must be going down a storm.
They'll appreciate it. Again, like you said, it's all because of Jamal Lowe, isn't it? So another thing to add to his list of accolades, to do, his legend, 2 goals against Cardiff.
But the thing with Jamal Lowe is he also comes from Hemel Hempstead, which is about 6 miles that way.
Does he?
So he's a local boy.
So he's going to want to score in this game.
You got it.
There we are. There's your betting tip for the week. Jamal Lowe, first goal. And to wag his finger at the camera that would have been in the goal. Okay, let's finish it off then. And I like to ask a non-football related question. And that is, when you go to any stadiums, say we're coming down to the Swansea.com stadium or the Liberty Stadium, I still prefer Liberty. What would be your favourite pint/drink, any drink of choice, if you could choose anything?
Oh, blimey! Well, I'm. I guess with beer, I kind of like a good bitter or something, Abbott Ale, something like that. So yeah, I'd have one of those. I look at your
My dad likes that, but he usually makes him.
Man.
Kind of fall asleep, so he can't have it anymore.
That's why I like it.
I'm more of a disco piss kind of guy.
You're a lager top bloke, aren't you?
I like I like a bit of a Stella Artois. Yeah.
Ooh.
And then food wise,
isn't there another name for that usually?
Something beta usually.
Something. That stuff. Yeah, allegedly.
I forgot about food. Yeah, I'll have a curry. Yeah, curry and a pint.
I do like Wetherspoons, mate. I do like a cheeky, especially on an away day.
Yeah,
cheeky Wetherspoons.
We've got 3 of them to choose from down here if you are coming.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah.
What about you, Pete?
A buffet.
I'll have all of the buffet. Yeah, food as long as there's a lot. No. I think I'd go for Chinese. Probably just to piss off Justin.
Piss us, Justin.
Because Justin last had a Chinese on the 30th of December 1983, we discovered the other day.
This is well known. Yeah.
Won't eat it. That's 40 years.
40 years I've not had a Chinese.
So Carl and I are going for a Chinese, and I know I'd definitely go for an Abbott or a real ale rather than the disco piss. Although the other day I went and drank with Justin and completely forgot about that and was drinking disco piss just because
with a top.
I know.
It's rubbing off on him.
I like a good cider myself. So you three, I guess, all drinking different to what I would, but I can have a beer. I don't know about an Abbott though. I'd probably be more on the disco piss myself if I was going to get a beer. But to be honest, any beer you get, I think, in our stadium is basically disco piss anyway, and it's in a cardboard cup as well these days.
Oh,
so
I've got to say, we've got these recycled plastic things, and the beer is awful at Vicarage Road.
Sparkly, doesn't it?
Oh, it's like sparkling water. It's awful.
Yeah, so the cardboard cups and the biggest. They only came in this season, and everyone's going nuts in the first couple of games. Specifically, my co-host, because apparently they can't pour a pint into these cardboard cups because it just gives it the biggest head. So, like, you've got half a pint of head, basically. I don't know if they've learned how to do it better, but
Pete, grow up.
Sorry.
Yes, so come to the Swansea.com stadium and you get half a pint of head.
Yeah.
So I mean,
saw him chuckling away there.
Yeah.
It makes
there is a sneaky bar in Vicarage Road that still serves pints in glass during the game. Yeah, you have to watch the game on the TV.
I know where that is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a secret that nobody wants to be bothered about in Swansea. Well done.
Probably not on the away end, is it?
Always
So.
thinking about the
No,
audience.
you can't. Famously, you can't get a beer in the away end at Vicarage Road.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, I've never been, but I didn't know that.
Yeah,
to be
you
fair.
can't. You can't. They do not sell alcohol at Vicarage Road.
Is there a reason for that? What's the reason?
Because the concourse is so narrow, it fails all the health and safety regulations and licensing laws.
It doesn't surprise me. I had a bad time in Reading trying to even look at the bar. So
Everybody does, mate. You're not alone there.
Where is the away pub now, Carl, for Watford fans? Because the Odd
There isn't one.
There isn't one.
The Odd Fellas opens again in January. I spoke to the new landlord only yesterday.
How did you?
The Wetherspoons seems to be fairly.
It's Spoons at the moment. Yeah, it's Spoons at the moment. Yeah.
I guess when we have the reverse fixture, you'll be able to give us a little bit more about what to drink ahead of the game.
These last 10 minutes have been pretty much fucking pointless for your listeners. But, maybe we could just save this bit and just
send it over to the next one. No, it's all good. It's okay. It's all fun and games. But that will bring to the end of the video. So again, where would we be able to find your content if we want to go and check that out on the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes Watford FC podcast? Obviously, you've got a pre-match yourself. So Pete, maybe you could tell us where to find that.
Yeah, we're on Twitter at DNSYE underscore podcast. But what we'll do is obviously when we put our thing up, we'll copy you in, guys, at SwansCast, and
of course,
if you can do vice versa, that'd be great. That way you can see kind of what we thought of you, what you thought of us, and then you'll sit there and beat us 4-0 and go, what were they talking about? Probably. But there's also DoNotScratchYourEyes.com, which is basically like a central hub for everything.
Yeah,
There's all sorts of stuff. If you just put in "Do Not Scratch Your Eyes" into Google, us three ugly mugs come up, and occasionally Troy Deeney, but that's about it.
And a thing about Cordia
Deeney
as well, but that's something else.
You're saying all this stuff. You're going to end up beating us now at this rate after all of this. So convinced otherwise that we'll see what happens when we see what happens. Obviously, still got a little bit of time before this game, so I guess this video will have been recorded several days before it actually gets released, because I'll release it after the Leicester game. So yeah, from past us, thank you very much for watching. Thanks Pete, Justin and Carl for joining me. It's been a good evening. I've had a good laugh, so you're welcome to come back anytime. But I guess I'll see you again in March.
We don't get that a lot, actually. We don't get that a lot.
No, it's good. It's different from the norm. It's usually quite serious, but I think a little bit of humour now and again definitely changes it up, and I appreciate that. So thank you very much for joining. I'm sure everyone watching has enjoyed as well. So let us know in the comments about everything we spoke about. I can't actually remember what content was in there now, but tell us in the comments what you thought about it.
Anyone's interested in.
And we shall see you in the next one. And I'm sure you will see these guys again in March. So thank you again,
Absolutely.
guys. And
We're going to prepare a full consumer level kind of piece for you in March, so you know exactly where to go and exactly what to drink.
I can't wait for it. I can't wait. And we will get it shared, and everyone will be loving their away trip up the M4 to Watford. So, yeah, catch you again in the next one. And,
Cheers.
good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Luke.
guys.
Cheers, Luke.